Y News. Meralco announces a decrease in electricity rates this month as oil companies implement price rollback on petroleum products. Tourism Secretary Thio resigns from her post amid controversies in the department. Congressman Gary Alejano mulls over filing of another impeachment complaint against President Rodrigo Duterte.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. Electricity rates will decrease this month while oil companies implement a rollback in petroleum products today. Monokson tells us why.
Power rate will go down this month. The Manila Electric Company said customers will experience a 54 centavo per kilowatt-hour cut on their electric bill. Those consuming 200 kilowatts will save 109 pesos, while those consuming an average of 500 kilowatts every month will be saving almost 300 pesos. Meralco said the power supply in Luzon increased with the help of the 400 megawatt coal-fired power plant in Quezon, which reopened last month. When supply increases, the price of the electricity in the spot market decreases. The power supply this dry season is sufficient because the Department of Energy prohibited the maintenance shutdown of power plants. Foreign exchange did not also affect the price of electricity.
For this May, hindi naman tayo nakaramdam na mag-depreciate ng peso. In fact, there was a slight appreciation of the peso compared to what it was in the previous month.
Meralco said that the rising oil prices do not have a big effect on the price of electricity in the market.
Yung oil prices, wala talaga siyang direct impact sa prices ng fuels na ginagamit for power generation. Pero meron siyang indirect impact sa presyo ng natural gas galing Malampayan.
Meanwhile, oil companies implemented a price rollback today. There is a 30 centavo per liter price cut for diesel and gasoline, and a 60 centavo per liter rollback for kerosene. The price rollback of petroleum products is due to the movement of oil prices in the world market. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The Department of Energy or DOE assures that the country will have sufficient power supply in the upcoming barangay and SK elections. The DOE has prohibited all power plants to conduct a maintenance shutdown in the upcoming polls. Meralco launched an election hotline that would receive complaints regarding power supply next week. The public may reach Meralco via call or text through its Halalan hotline number. Malacanang confirms that Tourism Secretary Thio has resigned from her post. Lawmakers, however, say her resignation must not be the end of the controversies hounding her. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
Tourism Secretary Thio has submitted her resignation letter to Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea before the cabinet meeting started yesterday in Malacanang. According to Thio's counsel, President Duterte did not ask her to resign, but because of delicadeza, she chose to leave her post.
This is just to show that she's not clinging to her post. She does not want to harm her family, and she does not want to harm the president.
Thio also stands firm that she did not know that the 60 million peso tourism ad would be placed to her brother's program in PTV4. After the cabinet meeting last night, President Duterte and Thio had a one-on-one meeting. Based on the latest information from Malacanang, the president had accepted her resignation. Meanwhile, according to opposition lawmakers, the issue must not end in Thio's resignation.
Dapat kasuhan mananagot sa batas.
So it is the investigation conducted by the Executive Secretary and a later investigation by the Office of the Ombudsman that will determine if she has in fact criminal liability.
In the end, Thio's counsel said her client is willing to face all investigations regarding this issue. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano is now studying the possibility of filing another impeachment complaint against President Rodrigo Duterte. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano filed his first impeachment complaint against President Rodrigo Duterte a year ago. Based on the law, anyone is now free to file another impeachment raps against the president. According to Alejano, their group has no final decision yet, but they are studying the possibility of filing another complaint. This time, he said, they will make sure that they have strong evidence and the filing will go through a proper process to make sure that the committee will not junk it like what happened in the first complaint they filed. Their ground will be extrajudicial killings, culpable violation of the Constitution, and corruption. They are also planning to include treason due to the president's allegedly collusion with China.
Nagsusurvey, siya lang nakakaalam. Hindi alam ng taong bayan. Nagsusurvey yung Chinese sa Benham Rice, no, and the West Philippine Sea. He's even offering to China ownership of the West Philippine Sea. He's allowing foothold here in our own territory.
But the Malacanang has set aside the issue. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque challenged Alejano to run after those responsible for the increase of reclamation activities in the West Philippine Sea instead of filing an impeachment complaint.
At kung meron naman siyang numero, siguro po magiging successful siya, no? Pero sa akin po, walang suportang makukuha yan kasi wala pong legal na basihan yung impeachment na isasampa niya.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
President Rodrigo Duterte appoints Presidential Advisor on OFWs Concern Abdullah Mama-o as Special Envoy to Kuwait. Though the official has just arrived from Kuwait, President Rodrigo Duterte directed Mama-o to stay in the meantime in the Gulf state until all OFWs who wanted to go back to the country are repatriated. Aside from these, Mama-o is also directed to enhance the bilateral relations of Kuwait and the Philippines after the tensions inflamed by the controversial rescue missions of OFWs by the Department of Foreign Affairs, and also to continue the negotiations on attaining an agreement that will protect the welfare of OFWs in the Gulf state.
The mandate of Secretary Mama-o is to bring everyone home and to possibly normalize ties with Kuwait, sign the MOA if possible.
The OIC President and CEO of PhilHealth, Dr. Celestina de la Serna, wanted to talk to President Rodrigo Duterte regarding the allegations of corruption against her. Monokson tells us why.
PhilHealth OIC President and CEO Dr. Celestina de la Serna signified her intention to talk to President Rodrigo Duterte. De la Serna said she wants to explain her side on the alleged corruption against her. Based on the Commission and Audit report, De la Serna reimbursed more than 600,000 pesos on her local travels. The official said that the reimbursement goes through the right process.
All of this went through the accounting process because it's a reimbursement. It's not a disbursement, direct disbursement of the corporation. And this is for the whole of 2017.
De la Serna had already issued an explanation to the COA report. She believes that there are some high-ranking officials within PhilHealth who are behind this to harass her. Many got angry with her when he transferred the area of assignments of the 20 PhilHealth regional directors. De la Serna said that she is only following the orders of President Duterte to implement reform in the PhilHealth administration.
Ganun ata talaga sa government, 'di ba? Kung wala kang ginagawang mabuti or wala kang ginagawang tama, pero kung gagawa ako ng changes, ito ang magiging buhay ko.
PhilHealth also explained the unpaid claims of hospitals, saying regional vice presidents have the full control in paying hospital claims. PhilHealth is still getting the exact amount of the unpaid claims of hospitals. PhilHealth also warned hospital officials who are taking advantage in getting unauthorized claims and will file case if proven true. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The Consultative Committee has proposed the creation of National Competition Authority under the federal form of government. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The Consultative Committee wants to push for the creation of federal competition body in the new constitution. According to Consultative Committee Subcon on Economic Reforms Chairman Arthur Aguilar, the said competition body go against opportunists in the event that foreign ownership provision of businesses under the 1987 Constitution will be relaxed.
If we liberalize the economy, we have to make sure that there will be a fair and healthy competition, and no players will be allowed to dominate any industry or market.
The Competition Authority will also be more powerful compared to the current Philippine Competition Commission. The said constitutional body will be under the federal government. It means that the said Federal Competition Authority will have exclusive power against monopolies and cartels and cannot be meddled upon by the federal states.
And that the federated regions who will have some exclusive and shared powers would not be able to enact any law that would impede competition.
Currently, the ConCom is still studying some of the economic provisions of the Constitution, particularly the controversial 60-40% foreign ownership provision. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Grab Philippines is set to launch various schemes to improve their services to their passengers in the next 100 days. This aims to address the problems on high cancellation rate and difficulty in booking a ride. John Nano will tell us why.
In the next 100 days, Grab Philippines will launch some new features in the ride booking system. The company will come up with various schemes to lessen incidents of ride cancellations. Some of these are rewarding of incentives among top-performing drivers. These are the drivers who will get more number of rides, high rating, and good passenger feedback. Grab PH will also enhance their drivers' academy to teach proper customer service, road safety, among others. The company will also launch new feature in their mobile application to easily determine the passenger's pickup point and to make it easier for passengers to select their preferred service. Meanwhile, Grab PH will also impose passenger no-show feature in their application.
So when they arrive at a location and they're waiting for their passengers, sometimes, unfortunately, hindi talaga dumadating yung passenger. So this one will allow them, after a 7-minute mark, to already cancel the ride.
Like Uber, Grab is also set to impose a cancellation fee to discipline drivers and passengers who frequently cancel ride bookings. In terms of providing actions on passenger complaints, Grab will also scale up their customer service team. They will also launch an SOS button that will automatically connect to 911 in case of emergency. Meanwhile, Grab Philippines will further study the effectiveness of these mechanisms and will resolve issues and complaints against their services.
It's a commitment that we make today as a company to really show the public, show you guys who are riders and our drivers that we mean it when we say that we're listening.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Let's take a look at the traffic situation now along some major roads in Metro Manila. On Edsa Muñoz, there is a slight delay on the lane going to Balintawak, while the flow of vehicles is bumper to bumper on the lane going to North Avenue. On 5th Avenue in C3 Caloocan City, the traffic is green and go on the lane going to A Bonifacio, while vehicles are also fast moving on the lane going to A Mabini. President Rodrigo Duterte is set to lead the send-off ceremony for 50 Filipino scientists who will conduct a research in the Philippine rice. Aside from this, President Duterte will visit the Philippine rice on May 14 and 15. The government will also hold a commemoration for the name it gave to the country's extended continental shelf as a way to emphasize the Philippines' sovereign rights on the Philippine rice.
It will also be to launch the start of scientific research to be conducted by around 50 scientists.
Meanwhile, the chief executive also wants the creation of a separate panel of Asian experts that will investigate the controversial dengue vaccine immunization program. The experts will come from countries proven to have no links to the Philippine government and to Sanofi Pasteur. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said this is for the government to come up with concrete scientific findings and to avoid contradicting opinions from experts coming from the Public Attorney's Office and the Philippine General Hospital.
Pakikinggan po niya ang report at opinyon ng mga ekspertong ito nang makausad na tayo dito sa issue ng dengue vaccine.
PNP Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde spoke with 9 of his bashers on social media. The said 9 individuals who are all police officers went to Camp Crame after the Directorate for Investigation and Detective Management summoned them. General Albayalde explained to them that the Philippine National Police has a grievance committee where they may report their complaints, and it is not right to use profane words against the PNP chief. The said cops are facing conduct unbecoming of an officer complaints.
Dito sa amin, we have rules and regulations and policies and traditions that we have to follow. We just want to make or instill discipline to these people. Baka kasi gayahin ito ng mga iba pa na akala nila okay lang itong ginagawa nila, na minumura nila yung sarili nilang commander.
Next on Y News. The National Bureau of Investigation has arrested 3 individuals allegedly involved in trafficking of minors. And Davao City's anti-poverty program Lingap para sa mahirap receives additional fund from Malacanang. Y News will be right back. I'm Darlene Basingan. Stay tuned for Angelo Castro III. Good evening.
On Y News tonight, Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno denounces the seeming chummy system in the Supreme Court. Senators call for an investigation on China's alleged militarization in the West Philippine Sea. Re-electionist senators set to create their own group if the ruling party will disregard them in the 2019 midterm polls. Good evening. Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno is open to the calls to return to the Supreme Court. In a forum today, Sereno also slammed the supposed gang at the High Court. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
After speaking in a forum at Adamson University in Manila today, Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno is met by calls to return to the Supreme Court. Sereno has been on an indefinite leave since February to prepare for her impeachment trial. She said she's open to the people's call.
Ako po ay naninilbihan lamang para sa taong bayan. Nakikinig po ako at pinag-iisipan ko po ito. Ngayong narinig nyo na po ang sigaw. Sinasabi po nilang panahon na para magtrabaho ng husto sa Korte Suprema.
At the forum, Sereno insisted on the inhibition of Justices Teresita Leonardo de Castro, Diosdado Peralta, Lucas Bersamin, Francis Hardeleza, and Noel Tiham from her quo warranto case. She said it is against the rules of justice that those who are accusing her will be the ones who will decide on her case. Sereno pointed out it's the Constitution that must be followed and not the gang in the Supreme Court.
Kailan po naging barkadahan ang Korte Suprema, kundi ayon sa konstitusyon, sa batas at tamang prosesong sinasaad sa konstitusyon mismo.
Sereno also said that justices cannot twist the Constitution nor the earlier decisions of the court just to remove someone who is not into the gang. If this happens, Sereno said her fellow justices are no better than politicians.
At sasabihin ko pong malinaw, diktadorya ang maglalaba, ang magwawagi at maninanaig sa bansa kung manalo ang warranto petition at patay na ang judicial independence.
The justices will supposedly have a special en banc session to decide on Sereno's fate. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Several lawmakers want to conduct a probe on China's intensified militarization in the West Philippine Sea. May Bermudez will tell us why.
For several lawmakers, every Filipino has a right to know the real status of the artificial islands in the West Philippine Sea. This is in relation to the reported installation of anti-ship and anti-aircraft cruise missiles by China in Panganiban, Fiery Cross, and Subi Reefs. Senator Bam Aquino wants to conduct a Senate inquiry regarding this, most especially when the International Tribunal's decision already ruled that the Philippines owned the said islands.
Well, gusto nating malaman kung ano yung current na kung ano yung mga usapin po ngayon sa ating dalawang bansa, no? Kung bakit po tayo pumapayag na lang na militarized po ang ating teritoryo, no?
As a part of our national security, malaking red flag ito, no? So dapat mapag-usapan mabuti kung ano yung intention.
Senator Antonio Trillanes already filed a resolution which aims to probe the increasing militarization in the artificial islands. Meantime, Malacanang is not alarmed for allegedly being left behind by other claimant countries in developing the territories and reefs in the South China Sea. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said, unlike other states, Philippines has 7 islands, which is certainly under the jurisdiction of the country.
So even if they build the mightiest island, the mightiest military base, it will never be the subject of sovereignty. Why? Because it's an artificial island. It is only covered by sovereign rights.
So
whereas tayo, we're the only claimant. 7 yan, real islands that can be the subject of sovereignty.
A maritime law expert, on the other hand, doesn't see a clear indication that the creation of a code of conduct by ASEAN will materialize, saying the current administration has no permanent position in China's interest.
Essentially, a purely political accommodation. It's an accommodation born out of fear of the power of China, its ability to wage war, as President Duterte mentions. No?
In the end, the focus now should be on forming an agreement for the Filipinos' freedom to explore and fish within the seas surrounding the disputed area. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito vowed to push for the enactment of the anti-political dynasty bill. The senator said should the anti-political dynasty provision under the Sangguniang Kabataan reform gets approval, he will push for the controversial proposal. This is despite the fact that his family is known in the field of politics.
The first time that there's an enabling law na ang anti-political dynasty will be applied, no, sa SK. So pag naging successful tayo dito, then we can pursue it on a bigger political spectrum.
Re-election senators will push through with creating a group that will run in the 2019 midterm polls. This is if the ruling party PDP Laban decides not to include them in its senatorial lineup. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
In an interview on the program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon, Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito expressed his sentiment over what he described as the seeming cold support re-electionist senators get from the ruling party PDP Laban. Ejercito particularly refers to PDP Laban's decision not to include any of them in its short list of candidates initially released by PDP Laban Secretary General and House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez.
Marami ang sumasamaan loob na dahil naging very supportive kami sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Duterte. Kaya lang parang hindi naman kami sinasama ng administration party which is PDP.
Despite this, the senator said some of them in the majority bloc are hoping in the pronouncement of Senate President and PDP President Aquilino Pimentel III that he will fight for to be included in the senatorial slate of the administration. Ejercito said they trust the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte, who is also the chairman of the ruling party. But should the ruling party disregards them, re-electionist senators will push through with the creation of another group.
Nag-usap kami kasi maganda naging working relationship namin, Kuya Daniel. The past 5 years sa Senado ay magsasama-sama kaming re-electionist senators kung sakaling kami ay tutuloy talaga ng kumandidato lahat.
Ano nga yung tawag nyo dun sa...
the force.
They also talked with Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte about the possible support of the regional political party Hugpong sa Pagbabago for the allied senators who will run in the 2019 elections. Aside from Senator Ejercito, other re-electionist senators who are allies of the president include Senators Grace Poe, Sani Angara, Nancy Binay, and Cynthia Villar. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Labor and Employment warned the public in Boracay Island not to believe candidates who use the agency's employment program in their campaign. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Reports of false usage of the government's employment program by some candidates for the barangay elections have reached the office of the Department of Labor and Employment here in Boracay Island. Because of this, Dolly warned the public not to believe the false campaigning done by these candidates.
Huwag po kayo maniwala sa mga nagpapaasa na makapagtrabaho kayo. Sila lang po yung gumagamit sa aming programa para sa kanilang political advancements.
Abdullah added it is not necessary to go through these politicians to avail of the services being given by the government for the affected residents and workers in Boracay. Abdullah said there is a process availing the Dolly programs, and those who want to avail of the agency's emergency employment program and Tupad program should seek their desk at the One-Stop Shop Center at Station 2 in Boracay, at a PESA office in Barangay Balabag and Manok-Manok. According to the COMELEC Omnibus Election Code Section 261, candidates are prohibited by the law to give or promise any individual work to gain their favor or vote.
Pagka napatunayan yun, it is form of vote buying, indirect vote buying, parang or campaigning, soliciting the vote of a person kapalit ng mga bagay na yan.
An investigation will be done by the COMELEC Malay regarding the incident. Whoever will be proven committing the said election offense may be jailed, disqualified from running, and will be prohibited from holding any public office. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay.
Davao City's anti-poverty program Lingap para sa Mahirap receives additional funds from Malacanang. John Nano will tell us why.
Non-residents of Davao City continue to seek help from the local government. This prompted the Malacanang to give additional fund for the Linga para sa Mahirap program of the city. The palace will allot 30 million pesos monthly for the said program.
This is coming directly from the Office of the President. Ang 30 million is an additional budget that is for the entire Mindanao na.
Under the Linga para sa Mahirap program, an individual with insufficient financial capability may get hospital, funeral, or burial assistance from the Davao City LGU.
Si Merudi wanted to help more kasi daghan man tagalaing nasod patud tagalaing lungsod matud dire. Nya mag-claim nga taga Davao sila para na nga makakapangayag tabang. So atong presidente.
Currently, the services of the said anti-poverty program is open to all residents of Mindanao. Those seeking to avail of the assistance may go to the Lingap office in Davao City Hall and present their barangay clearance. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Bureau of Fire Protection Malay has declared a building in Boracay as a fire hazard. Darlene Moreno will tell us why.
A fire hazard warning sign is placed at a hotel building in Boracay to inform the public that the said establishment is not safe. The 4-story building is owned by a Korean national and has been operating for 4 years now. But Malay Municipal Fire Marshal Fire Senior Inspector Lorna Parciliano said the owner of the building has yet to comply with the requirements like the submission of affidavit of undertaking. When the BFP re-examined the building, it found it violated the Fire Code of the Philippines and declared it fire hazard.
I would like to remind the public that this building is a fire hazard because not complying those requirements or they are having the violation under the Fire Code of the Philippines.
The fire code was created to ensure that occupants of a building are safe, especially when a fire breaks out. Among the violations of the owner include having an approved secondary alternative exit, having no automatic fire detection and alarm system, no automatic sprinkler, the first aid firefighting appliance is still subject for reconditioning, and having no post-emergency evacuation plan in each room and strategic areas. The BFP said of the 2,129 establishments they have inspected, 70% or more than 1,400 have no Fire Safety Inspection Certificate or FSIC. The FSIC is a requirement before occupancy of a newly built establishment. The FSIC would help ensure that all buildings are safe and have sufficient equipment and preparations to avoid fire. Some of the equipment needed before acquiring such permit are fire protective or warning systems like fire sprinklers, alarms, and extinguishers. Darlene Moreno, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay Island.
The sale of fish in the marketplaces and fish port in Obando, Bulacan has dropped due to the fish kill that happened on Saturday.
Mahirap din. Yung iba, di maiwasan na nag-aalala sila. Baka mamaya hindi ayos yung mabili nila.
Meanwhile, residents have been helping to remove the dead fish from the fish ponds. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, for its part, plans to release tomorrow the result of the water testing it conducted to identify the real cause of the fish kill in 7 barangays in Obando. The Philippine National Police arrested the sniper of the Maute terror group after he ran amok in Cubao yesterday. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
With a gun and grenade, Unday Makadatu allegedly ran amok along Felix Manalo Street in Cubao, Quezon City yesterday. Following complaints of residents, National Capital Region Police Office personnel went to the scene and arrested Makadatu. Upon investigation, police discovered that Makadatu became a sniper of the Maute group during the Marawi siege. He is also in the list of members and supporters of the terror group who are at large.
Well, he is alleged to be a sniper in the Marawi siege. He got that from Mindanao.
Makadatu will face charges of illegal possession of firearms and explosives. PNP Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde said the police are still searching for around 1,000 members of the Maute group.
This is one indication that our intelligence operatives are really doing their target hardening measures, yung pagkakaalap natin ng intelligence monitoring, at good indication na yung ating mga community are cooperating sa ating mga kapulisan.
The PNP reminds the public to remain vigilant and to immediately report to the PNP any suspicious-looking individuals in their area. Leah Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Krame.
The National Bureau of Investigation has arrested 3 individuals allegedly involved in human trafficking. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Operatives of the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, arrested alleged human traffickers during a rescue operation at their safe house last Saturday in Pasay City. Earlier, the NBI presented to the media 2 of the suspects, Patricia Lambino alias Mommy and Rosie Lopez. One of them was not presented as the investigation is still ongoing. The modus operandi of the group was discovered by NBI after the 16-year-old victim, who was turned over to the DSWD, gave them the information last week. An immigration officer intercepted the minor, who said she was working as domestic helper in Saudi Arabia on suspicion of her age. Her passport shows she's 23 years old, but based on further investigation by the Immigration Bureau and with the admission of the female herself, authorities discovered she is just 16 years old. Authorities said the victim told them that the suspect promised them huge salary once they work abroad.
Papunta abroad. Natutulungan po nila kami.
The teenager also revealed to the DSWD that the traffickers still have other girls with them at a safe house in Pasay City. Authorities were able to rescue 137 Muslim women from the said safe house. 25 of the rescued females are minors.
Based on records, may mga series of cases siya involving the same illegal recruitment and human trafficking. On the other hand, ito naman pong isa, siya po ang allegedly sumusundo sa airport pag dumarating yung mga recruited. Sumusundo at naghahatid.
The NBI is still investigating the manpower agency where the suspects transact with. It also sought the help of the DFA to determine if the suspects have an accomplice that helped them fake documents. Aiko Miguel, UNTV, News and Rescue, Manila.
Team Brunel leads leg 8 of the Volvo Ocean Race. Victor Cosare tells us why.
In sailing, Team Brunel is now closing in on victory in leg 8 of the Volvo Ocean Race on Monday as crews battled tricky conditions with just a few hundred miles to go until the finish in Newport, Rhode Island, USA. The 7 boats are traveling from Brazil to the final leg 8 destination in Rhode Island, and it's Team Brunel who has a slender advantage with time ticking. Team Brunel is just a few nautical miles ahead of second place Dongfeng on Monday, with both boats experiencing rough sea conditions in the North Atlantic through the night. Mafre is now in third place ahead of Turn the Tide on Plastic and Vesta's 11th hour Racing with less than 13 miles separating those three boats. Leg 8 is a 5,010 nautical mile stint which began on April 22. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue.
Up next on Y News. South Korean President Moon Jae-in has urged Japan and North Korea to begin talks. A coalition airstrike led by Saudi Arabia targeted the top leaders of the Houthi group in Yemen. Stay tuned for William Thio. I'm Angelo Castro III. Good evening.
Good evening. Here are the top stories on Y News tonight. Power rate will go down this month. The Manila Electric Company said customers will experience a 54 centavo per kilowatt hour cut on their electric bill. Those consuming 200 kilowatts will save 109 pesos, while those consuming an average of 500 kilowatts every month will be saving almost 300 pesos. Meralco said the power supply in Luzon increased with the help of the 400 megawatt coal-fired power plant in Quezon, which reopened last month.
For this May, hindi naman tayo nakaramdam na mag-depreciate ng peso. In fact, there was a slight appreciation of the peso compared to what it was in the previous month.
Meanwhile, oil companies implemented a price rollback today. There is a 30 centavo per liter price cut for diesel and gasoline and a 60 centavo per liter rollback for kerosene. The price rollback of petroleum products is due to the movement of the oil prices in the world market. Meanwhile, Malacanang has confirmed that Tourism Secretary Wanda Thio has resigned from her post. Secretary Thio has submitted her resignation letter to Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea before the cabinet meeting started yesterday in Malacanang. According to Theo's counsel, President Duterte did not ask her to resign, but because of delicadeza, she chose to leave her post.
This is just to show that she's not clinging to her post. She does not want to harm her family, and she does not want to harm the president.
Meanwhile, Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano said the issue must not end in Theo's resignation.
Dapat kasuhan mananagot sa batas.
Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano is now studying the possibility of filing of another impeachment complaint against President Rodrigo Duterte. Alejano filed his first impeachment complaint against President Rodrigo Duterte a year ago. This time, he said, they will make sure that they have strong evidence and the filing will go through a proper process to make sure that the committee will not junk it like what happened in the first complaint they filed. Their ground will be extrajudicial killings, culpable violation of the Constitution, corruption, and treason for allegedly colluding with China.
Nagsusurvey, siya lang nakakaalam. Hindi alam ng taong bayan. Nagsusurvey yung Chinese sa Benham Rice, no, and the West Philippine Sea. He's even offering to China ownership of the West Philippine Sea. He's allowing foothold here in our own territory.
In a forum at Adamson University in Manila today, Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno was met by calls to return to the Supreme Court. At the forum, Sereno insisted on the inhibition of justices from her quo warranto case. She said it is against the rules of justice that those who are accusing her will be the ones who will decide on her case. Sereno pointed out it's the Constitution that must be followed and not the gang in the Supreme Court.
Kailan po naging barkadahan ang Korte Suprema, kundi ayon sa konstitusyon, sa batas at tamang prosesong sinasaad sa konstitusyon mismo.
Sereno also said the justices cannot twist the Constitution nor the earlier decisions of the court just to remove someone who is not into the gang. On Friday, the justices will supposedly have a special en banc session to decide on Sereno's fate. Several lawmakers want to conduct a probe on China's intensified militarization in the West Philippine Sea. Senator Bam Aquino wants to conduct a Senate inquiry regarding this, most especially when the International Tribunal already ruled that the Philippines owned the said islands.
Well, gusto nating malaman kung ano yung current na kung ano yung mga usapin po ngayon sa ating dalawang bansa, no? Kung bakit po tayo pumapayag na lang na militarized po ang ating teritoryo, no?
As a part of our national security, malaking red flag ito, no? So dapat mapag-usapan mabuti kung ano yung intention.
Senator Antonio Trillanes already filed a resolution which aims to probe the increasing militarization in the artificial island. Re-election senators will push through with creating a group that will run in the 2019 midterm polls. In an interview on the program, Get It Straight with Daniel Razon, Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito expressed his sentiment over what he described as the seeming cold support re-electionist senators get from the ruling party PDP Laban.
Marami ang sumasamaan loob na dahil naging very supportive kami sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Duterte, kaya lang parang hindi naman kami sinasama ng administration party which is PDP.
Despite this, the senators said some of them in the majority bloc are hoping in the pronouncement of Senate President and PDP President Aquilino Pimentel III that he will fight for them to be included in the senatorial slate of the administration. But should the ruling party disregard them, re-electionist senators will push through with the creation of another group.
Nag-usap kami kasi maganda naging working relationship namin, Kuya Daniel. The past 5 years sa Senado ay magsasama-sama kami re-electionist senators kung sakaling kami ay tutuloy talaga ng kumandidato lahat.
Ano nga yung tawag nyo dun sa...
the force.
And for the news abroad, here is Eric Ferrer live from South Korea. Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Will. South Korean President Moon Jae-in urges Japan and North Korea on Tuesday to begin talks. In an interview with a Japanese newspaper, Moon explained the move would help normalize the relations between the two countries and contribute to peace and stability in the Korean Peninsula and beyond. At a historic summit last month between Pyongyang and Seoul, Moon said Kim expressed a readiness to have a dialogue with Japan. There was no immediate comment from the Japanese government, which has called Pyongyang's nuclear weapons and missile programs the toughest security threat facing Japan since World War II. Australia says hundreds of asylum seekers are likely to languish in Pacific camps. Nina Bascon tells us why.
Minister for Home Affairs Peter Dutton said on Monday that hundreds of asylum seekers held in Australian-run detention centers in the Pacific are likely to remain there indefinitely, as no other country is willing to resettle them. Australia's hardline immigration policy requires asylum seekers intercepted at sea trying to reach Australia to be sent for processing to 3 camps in Papua New Guinea and 1 on the South Pacific island of Nauru.
We'll continue to look at third country arrangements. Our department has been working on this for a number of years. People aren't jumping out of their skin to provide places, and that's the reality.
The asylum seekers are told they will never be settled in Australia. As of March 31, there were more than 1,300 people in the camps from various countries including Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sudan, and Iran. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue, Melbourne, Australia.
The number of houses devoured by the lava of the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii has increased to 26, but no casualties have been reported so far. Officials in the county of Hawaii said that more than 1,700 people who have been evacuated since the volcano erupted last Thursday still do not know when they will be able to return to their homes. But a small part of those affected by the eruption went back home to collect pets and possessions and essential medicines. A coalition airstrike led by Saudi Arabia targeted the top leaders of the Houthi group in Yemen. Maylene Soriano tells us why.
A Saudi-led coalition airstrike on Monday targeted top Houthi leaders in Yemeni capital Sana'a. Shiite Houthi group-controlled state news agency Sama said the powerful airstrike hit the headquarters of the presidential office in Sana'a, killing at least 6 people and wounded 60 others. Coalition spokesman Colonel Turki Al-Malki said the airstrike targeted the first and second-ranking Houthi leadership. Among them were President of Houthi Supreme Political Council Mahdi Al and Chief of Houthi Supreme Revolutionary Committee Muhammad Ali Al-Houthi, believed to be at a meeting in the presidential office. The spokesman said the airstrike was a revenge on the 2 ballistic missiles fired by Houthi earlier at Saudi Arabia's southern city.
استهداف دار الرئاسة اليوم كان لقيادات حوثية من الصف الأول ومن الصف الثاني في معلومات استخبارية مؤكدة تم مراقبتها من خلال منظومات الاستخبارات والمراقبة والاستطلاع. إذا كان الاستهداف الأول للهالك الصماد قاسي، هذه الضربة اليوم ستكون مؤلمة بإذن الله تعالى.
It was the second of its kind in 2 weeks. The Saudi-led coalition began to intervene in the Yemeni conflict from March 2015 as the Houthi rebels shored up President Hadi. The conflict has killed more than 10,000 Yemenis, mostly civilians, and displaced 3 million others, resulting in one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Maylene Soriano, UNTV News and Rescue, Middle East.
U.S. President Donald Trump said in a tweet on Monday, May 7, that he would announce his decision on whether to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal at 2 p.m. EDT or 1800 GMT on Tuesday. Trump has threatened to withdraw from the deal, which provided Iran with relief from sanctions in exchange for limiting its uranium enrichment capacity, unless European signatories to the accord fix what he called its shortcomings. Earlier, Trump has tweeted about what he said was former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's possibly illegal shadow diplomacy. In March, Iran confirmed that the Iranian foreign minister had met his former U.S. counterparts on the sideline of a Munich meeting in February. The New Yorker magazine earlier reported that Kerry had urged Tehran not to abandon a 2015 nuclear deal despite tensions with the Trump administration. And those are the latest news from other parts of the globe. Back to you, Will.
Thank you, Eric Ferrer, live from South Korea. Female Afghan coders develop a computer game they call Fight Against Opium. Nina Armilio tells us why.
With violence on the rise, having fun outside the home is becoming increasingly difficult for Kabul residents, with game centers one of the few places in the city where the youth can have a good time. The gamers, mostly men and boys, race cars or battle monsters for hours. But in Herat City, a group of girls and women are busy developing computer games. Trained by non-profit group Code to Inspire, the young coders have created more than 20 games since the center opened in 2015. Their Fight Against Opium game has garnered media attention for the message it seeks to spread. Players have to clear poppy fields and drugs derived from opium poppies while dodging soldiers, landmines and drug traffickers, and replace the crop with saffron bulbs.
بخواستیم پیام خود ما رو بگیم که ما هم راضی نیستیم که به کشور ما مواد مخدر ذکر کشت و خواستیم که دیدی که خود نسبت به کشور ما داریم کشت زعفران هسته همین به تصویر بکشیم.
Government data show opium production hit a record high in 2017, increasing by 87% from 2016. With the security situation deteriorating in the war-torn country, an increasing number of farmers are turning to the lucrative opium trade. In addition to entertaining and educational games, the young female coders also create mobile phone apps and company websites, providing a rare opportunity for women to develop a professional skill and work in Afghanistan. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news. May 8, 2018, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.